Very soon, I'll be wrapping up the Poppy Playtime story on this channel. But before that happens, we need to talk about some new old bosses. With so many fans convinced that Chapter 5 is the true finale of the saga, there's a real chance that some long-forgotten bosses could finally make a comeback. And honestly, some of them seriously deserve it. Today, we're gonna go over pretty much every possible option. Not just those who've already fought or helped us, but also the ones we might meet for the first time, who could finally help us carry out our plan, or just straight up kill us. Lately, a theory's been gaining traction that the real Ollie is gonna show up in Chapter 5. And let me say right away, I totally believe in this one. I even broke down all the possible scenarios in one of my previous videos. But now, let's talk about the others. Lately, I've been hearing a lot of talk about how Chapter 5 won't be the last, and that we'll see at least a Chapter 6. All because Zach supposedly said so. I get it. No one wants this story to end, but I have several 100% solid proofs that after Chapter 5, we won't see anything else. First, don't blindly trust Zach and take everything he says at face value. Given the way he worded it, I'm fully convinced he was just messing around to spark debate and hype up the future of Poppy Playtime. Let's go over the facts, and for that, we'll look at Chapter 4. Let's make a deal. If I can convince you that Chapter 5 will be the finale, drop a comment saying you agree. And if you disagree, tell me why in the comments. It all started with Poppy mentioning the Hour of Joy in Chapter 3, the root of all the horrors that unfolded at Playtime Co. Then, in our conversation with her, she revealed that the prototype's home is in the laboratories. After that, we got those strange statements from Dr. Harley Sawyer, the chilling VHS tape where Poppy spilled major secrets, the long-awaited full conversation with the prototype, Poppy's escape, and finally, Huggy's return, along with the certainty that the main setting of the new chapter will be that very lab, the prototype's domain. I think it's obvious to everyone that the prototype is our ultimate antagonist in Poppy Playtime. And considering everything we've discussed, our encounter with him is now inevitable, especially since they've been hinting at his grand reveal ever since Chapter 2. Come on! And after all this, you still think there could be anything after Chapter 5? To me, that would be complete nonsense, because the entire main storyline can be perfectly wrapped up in Chapter 5. And that's without even getting into Huggy, who definitely didn't return for no reason. Now, we can finally say with confidence, Chapter 5 has to conclude the story of Poppy Playtime, which means it's time to talk about who we might see again. I don't think anyone will be shocked if I say Huggy Wuggy. All right, we'll get to Huggy and his potentially major role later. But for now, let's talk about everyone else. Drop your own ratings for how likely each character is to return in the comments. But keep in mind, this is the final chapter, and everything will revolve around the prototype. The first so-called victim of the prototype, none other than Mommy Longlegs.
What have you done? You make me part of you! You can't do this to me!
What stood out to me the most were her words about not wanting to be a part of him. Judging by what's left of Mommy, it would be foolish to claim she'll return in Chapter 5 in the classic form we're used to seeing her. But let's not forget that Playtime's labs are home to mind-bending technologies. And now that the prototype is in charge, all their developments are literally in his head. That means, while it's small, there's still a chance that Mommy Longlegs might come back. She could appear as Mommy 2.0 or more likely as part of the prototype's body. But as the original Mommy Longlegs, we definitely won't see her in that form. Still, I'd love to see that pink beauty again. Aside from Mommy, there's another missing piece in the prototype's puzzle, Catnap, the circumstances of his death or maybe his survival, which still haunt me to this day. Take note of how this so-called incident unfolded. At first glance, it seems like the prototype's claw pierced Catnap's head completely, and it looks pretty obvious, but this is mob entertainment we're talking about. They're capable of anything, as we saw with Huggy. But take a closer look. Now, once more, the prototype's claw hits precisely the center of Catnap's mouth. And despite the blood, you can clearly see that no vital organ, specifically the brain or the arteries carrying blood from the neck, has been damaged. This makes it quite possible that Catnap survived, and as a result, his return in Chapter 5 is very likely. I know this might sound crazy, but you remember we're dealing with the prototype and his labs. And if we're talking about Catnap, we can't ignore his complete opposite, DogDay. This guy was one of the most intriguing characters in Chapter 3, and thanks to him, we learned a lot of new things.
Come to save us. Nothing left to save. Not here. Lord Catnap's home, Angel. Their home. A myriad pairs of eyes are on you now. Watching, waiting, hungry. They want nothing more than to crawl beneath your skin and eat away at you bit by little bit. Fill what feels empty inside themselves. That thing, Catnap, the prototype is his god, and this is what he does to heretics. We try to fight it, the prototype's control. I am the last of the smiling critters.
I think everyone felt a little something in their heart at this moment. But if we put emotions aside and think logically, DogDay is alive. His body was simply taken over by the mini critters. And if we remember the final scene with him, I didn't notice anything that suggested a fatal outcome for him. We easily escaped from him and shut the door right in his face, interrupting his chase. But he's still alive, and you probably can't argue with that. Unlike Miss Delight, who definitely won't be coming back, at least because we split her body into 2 parts. And honestly, she isn't important to the prototype like Mommy Longlegs for him to waste time and energy resurrecting her. I'm pretty sure we'll encounter DogDay again as an episodic monster trying to catch us, but we know that this time he'll probably meet the same fate as Miss Delight. And since we're talking about smiling critters, it would be a crime not to mention Hoppy Hopscotch, who first appeared to us in Chapter 3.
On 3 with me. 1, 2, 3! Heh, didn't get very far, did we? Again! 1, 2, 3! Nope, still didn't make it. Listen, this won't stop until we make it to the moon. 1, 2... No, don't look at your feet! None of that matters! Again! Jump!
Hey, what really got me hooked was that we don't hear any screams like we do with Bubba or Kickin'. But the devs decided to spice things up and keep us intrigued by showing a little snippet of her life in Safe Haven.
I need some help here! Hey, watch the door! Watch the door! Right here. There you go, bud. You're okay. Okay! Look at me! I'm a mess!
Hoppy? What's going on?
We were trying to bring supplies back up to the elevator, but we got jumped. Had to turn all the way back around. So, what do we do now?
For starters, you two stay here tonight. Let things settle down outside. I'll find more food for you to bring up to play care. When you're ready.
Thanks, Joey. Sorry we lost the supplies. It won't happen again.
And it seems like nothing, just a small reference to an old character, and I'd agree with you if it wasn't for that damn note on the wall, where we find out that Hoppy disappeared and they can't find her. That's the real reason she's not in safe haven, and what's really interesting is that we haven't seen any solid proof of her death. So these references make you think that she might be, let's say, captured by the prototype in those very labs, and the chances of meeting her in Chapter 5 are pretty high. You can't just assume she was killed by Catnap or anyone else, cause no one, except the devs, knows for sure. And if you're curious whether any other smiling critters have a chance of coming back, after you're done with this video, check this one out, because I dive deep into all the fates of the smiling critters and their chances of returning with all the latest info. As for Chapter 4, honestly, I don't even want to talk about it. Yarnaby is a real idiot, and there's no point in expecting his return. Sawyer already did his part of the deal with the prototype, and honestly, all he probably wanted was to die, which we helped him with. Nightmare critters are just a joke that shouldn't have even existed in the first place, but then there's Pianosaurus. This 30 seconds hero also wasn't even supposed to show up in Chapter 4, and devs just threw him in as a filler for the gameplay. But lately, a lot of fans have been pushing this theory that there are actually multiple Pianosauruses, and in Chapter 5, we might either see a second one, or, if you believe the whole musical band theory, maybe another member of his group. To me, that sounds like total nonsense, and I don't even want to waste time on it. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments. And if anyone's worried about Kissy Missy, don't be. She's definitely coming back, just like Poppy. But Huggy's return is what's really interesting. Not only is it super symbolic, since everything started with him, it makes sense for everything to end with him, but his role in our survival might actually be huge. So before I wrap this up, let me quickly drop a theory, and if you've got your own takes, hit up the comments. Huggy's gonna be a neutral character whose only goal is survival. He won't fight for our side, even though he's got a close bond with Kissy Missy, and he won't be on the prototype side, even though he started off as its pawn. His appearance is gonna be the key to progressing through the game. Think about it. Poppy escaped, Kissy's badly injured, and if we take into account what Leith Pierre said about the lab, there's no way we survive in there without a third party helping us. So maybe Huggy's gonna be that third party and help us make it to the prototype alive. As I promised, let's finally unravel the mystery of the new character. Y'all remember those weird hats they kept teasing us with before the release of Chapter 4, right? At the time, no one knew what they meant, but later we found out they were tied to Doey. But here's the thing. There was another leak showing the silhouette of a clown. And let's be real, Doey ain't no clown. So who exactly were the devs teasing us with? For a while, fan-made channels were hyping up a character called Lulu the Clown. Now, I'm not saying it's gonna be exactly him, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Chapter 5 character shares some similarities. I'd love to see your theories in the comments.